Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and especially you nephew, welcome back to another Union Arena video. And today we are going over the Roy Mustang deck. Now, this isn't the Roy Mustang deck, like this isn't the recent tournament winner or nothing. This is still me just testing out what an archetype like this has to offer. But as you can see, it's got a lot of cards in here. I do feel like I'm doing way too much with this deck. There's a lot of things that I want to change after testing it. But let's hop in to the deck breakdown. But I want to thank you all again for watching, for supporting, letting this channel grow. We've grown like half of my subscriber count since I switched over to Union Arena. So I want to thank you all again for showing me so much support. Before we jump into it, but for today's episode we have two games for you. I had three, but one of them got messed up so badly it's just unsalvageable. So we only had two games for you today, which is fine because, like I said, this isn't really a deck you really want to mimic. There are much better decks. You can check on EX Burst in this community tab to find a much better Roy deck than what I have here. But if you just want to see what the cards do, get some ideas for yourself, this is the place for you. So let's jump into it. Roy, or our zero cost for this deck is Roy, Riza, and Armstrong. Roy and Riza are our raid targets for the deck. Armstrong is just an extra zero cost with an active trigger, so it's never too bad to have an extra one of those, especially in a deck like this because I was breaking often. But I think that's more of the fact that I have all or just two one cost, or actually no, 4 one costs in this deck, and so I was bricking often, but I think this, because of the variety of cards that I have in here, if I were to iron it down, I feel like these 3 should be enough. But yeah, like I said, these are just raid targets and this is just a vanilla 2K. For our one cost in the deck, there we have a Riza Hawkeye and another Roy Mustang. Both still you can raid on top of, this one being more of your raid target. This Roy Mustang is better for his nullify impact, and he can be a 3K if you have no cards in hand, which sounds like a negative, but in this deck it's sort of just where you're constantly at. Oh my lord, my microphone just fell. Please. I didn't even, okay, we're good. Yeah, so you're normally at a very, very low card count, for good reason in this deck. But for this Riza's effect, you look at the top 2 cards of your deck and place any of them on the top of your deck in any order, then place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So you just look at the next 2 cards that you're going to draw, and you decide whether you want to draw them or not. Our next cost is this 2 cost Roy Mustang. You're going to hear me say Roy Mustang a lot this video. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different Roy Mustang cards we have. But we're running 2 of these because it's a non-trigger. It has a really good effect in this deck, so I might end up upping this if I were to final it out and take out these genes, but we'll talk about him later. But when played, choose up to 1 character with 1500 or more BP on your opponent's front line. It loses 1000 BP until the end of turn. So this is just really good 2 cost 1 action point Roy Mustang that you can raid into, getting his full effect. Our next are the 3 costs. So we have this Gene Havoc. Play up to 1 blue character card other than Gene Havoc with 3 or less energy required and 1 AP cost from your hand set to resting on your field. So I was just testing, or this is a win sideline effect. So I was just testing them out, or I was trying to test them out to see if this had any synergies with this Maze Hughes, or cheating out one of these Roys to set up for next turn into a raid, or one of these Rizas to set up next turn into the raid. It wasn't really working how I thought it was gonna work. It, like, if it's in life, it's a non-trigger card, so it goes straight to the sideline. And because we're discarding so much in this deck, this is one of the cards I normally discard. So might, or more than likely, we'll end up dropping him for a different tech option. For our other 3 costs, we have this Maze Hughes. This is our color trigger for the deck. The blue color trigger is when triggered, choose up to 1 character with 3,000 or 3,500 or less BP on your opponent's front line and return it to their hand. So it's a bounce trigger for 3,500 BP and less. So not too bad. But for Maze Hughes, he is a double energy generator, which is really good. And then his activate main is place 1 card from your hand into the sideline. This character gains 1,000 BP until the end of turn. And then when sidelined, if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, draw a card. So he's just pretty good all around. Just drop him off early on this on the energy line to generate 2, and then late game you can push him up to start swinging 4Ks. Or if you have 2 of these on your energy line, you can push 1 up as an early attacker. So just a pretty good all around card for this deck. Our other 3 costs is this Ariza Hawkeye. When played, if Roy Mustang is on your field, draw a card. Pretty simple, but also a double energy generator, which is nice for this deck because this Roy is a 5 cost. Our raid is. So it's always nice to have multiple double energy generators just in case you lose one or have to push one up to the front line. You can still raid out your Roys having a full board essentially on your energy line. And drawing a card is also always good, especially with all the Roys that we do run in this deck. He will more than likely always be on your field. I think that's it for 3 costs outside of our State Alchemist, which is just our AP restand event. And since we're at the events and moving on to 4 costs anyways, we have Flame Alchemist, which is our sideline event, a pretty standard sideline event. If Roy Mustang is on your field, KO at 5k or less. So let's get into the tech cards. So these cards don't need to be in this deck. They really don't have that much synergy. This one definitely can get cut, especially because there is an Armstrong that I think is just better here. Double damage, but it's 1 action point and 4 energy cost. This one is 5 energy and 2 action points, but it has when this character attacks and wins the battle, draw 2 cards. And so I was running him in here just testing to see how well he synergizes with this Roy, which we'll get to in a second. But I didn't get a really good chance to play him out, being at 2 action points in this deck. For our other tech card is this Edward Elric. Now a lot of Roy decks do run this Edward. Well, blue Fullmetal Alchemist decks do run this Edward at a 1 or 2, because he is 4 cost 1 action point, not a raid character, but just a character. And when played, add 1 card from your life area to your hand if you do switch this character to active, and then activate main, place 2 cards from your hand into your sideline, and then this character gains impact for the end of turn. So just a pretty good option to close games out, to surprise your opponent with a 1 action point active character, because normally playing characters as active cost 2, and this one costs 1 action point and a life card. So if you have the life lead, you can get a little bit aggressive with this Edward Elric. Okay, so the big cards for this deck are raid targets. So our raid Ariza, I'll read it. It says, when played, choose up to 1 character with 1500 BP or more on your opponent's front line. It loses 1000 BP until the end of turn. Then look at the top 4 cards of your deck, place 1 of them on the top of your deck, then place the remaining cards on the bottom of your deck in any order. So it's a bit of a combination effect of this Roy that we went over and this Ariza Hawkeye, but the raid looks at the top 4 instead of the top 2. But you can only put 1 at the top of the deck and the rest have to be bottomed. But the main effect that we're using this Ariza for is to subtract the 1k from an opponent. And then her activate main is also, if on the front line, choose up to 1 character with 1500 BP or more, and subtract 1k from it as well until the end of turn. So you can stack these on top of each other. So when play, you can subtract 2k from one person, or 1k from from 2 other cards on the front line. And this is an activate main, so as long as she stays alive, you can continuously use this on your main phase, which is very important for the Roy raid. So this is, I should have explained it at the start of this deck. So this deck is a removal deck. Because of this Roy here, you have your 4 removal cards with the event, but this is also a removal card, which I'll explain right now. When played, or when I should say when you raid it, when played, draw a card, and then when attacking, place any number of cards from your hand into your sideline. Choose up to 1 character with 1000 BP or less on your opponent's front line and sideline it. For each card placed from your hand into your sideline with this ability, add 1000 BP to the range of characters chosen with this ability. If you sideline a character with this ability, you may also place 1 card from your hand into your sideline. If you do, that character is placed to the removal area instead. That's a lot of words. But essentially, baseline when attacking, you can remove a character with 1000 BP or less, and you can trash cards from your hand to add to that BP range. So full combo, let's assume they have let's just put this Edward against us for a second. So he's on the board with 4k BP. Full combo would be raid this Riza over one of our other ones, subtract 1k from it, move it to the front line with the raid effect, subtract another 1k from it, so now it'll be 2k BP, and then you can raid this Roy, play it to the front line, draw a card, and then when attacking, it base can KO a 1k, but he's at 2k, so you can trash 1 card from your hand, so now you can KO a 2k or less, and KOing this Edward Elric. So it's pretty strong removal, just at the cost of your hand size. I'm just now realizing we did not go over this Roy. I will go over that in a second. But it's at the cost of your hand size, which is why you have so many other cards that synergize with hand size. And that was the idea behind this Armstrong as well, that having this attacking for 2 damage, normally it will be blocked, and then if I won the battle with this Armstrong, I would draw 2 cards, thus adding more cards into my hand that I can then attack with this Roy Mustang, and then raise the BP range of my KOing effect if need be. But I didn't get the option to test that out, so I don't really know how well it works. If I return to this, I probably would keep him in here at 2 of, because it is a trigger and it's not really hurting the deck, I don't think. But if I just needed the option to play it. But yeah, so that's the main goal of this deck, is removal, much like the Kimberly deck that we played, but this one being way stronger than the Kimberly deck because of Kimberly is KO a 3k or less, just period, and then you have the Bradley to subtract 1 and the Kimberly to subtract 1, the I think it's 2 cost or 3 cost Kimberly that subtracts 1. This has the similar effect to the Bradley, to subtract 1 as long as it's on the front line. But this Roy just having a not limitless range, but just a higher range to get to instead of being locked to 3k, I feel makes this deck much stronger than the Kimberly removal. So yeah, this Roy Mustang that I forgot to go over is during your turn, if you have 2 or less cards in your hand, this gains 1000 BP. And then when attacking, if you have no cards in your hands, draw up to 1 card. So yeah, another, pretty strong mid-game Roy Mustang. But with that being said, that is all for the deck. So let's hop into the games we have for you today. Like I said, unfortunately, I lost my first game because it was just way too choppy to really go over. This one is still kind of choppy, but I hope you guys can bear with it. It should be all right. We're going up against a, what is this? Sword Art Online deck, yellow Sword Art Online deck, which I think was a fairly good matchup for me. The deck that we're going up against, that is, because it takes life from their own life pool to give their own characters more effects. But the fact that this has such heavy removal means that their characters really didn't have, I would say, the maximum value to use their effects. But I've been yapping too much. They play out 2 0-cost vanillas. I play out my 0-cost Riza into my look at the top 2 Riza Hawkeye to check for what I would draw next, and I leave them both on top because I need both of them. One of them was the Roy that I'm setting up for my raid next turn. I actually have both raids available to me now, and so no matter what they play, I should be able to remove it, which actually is not true. They have something for me, so spoilers, but they have something for me. Now bear with us over these 2 games because the sim did update, and when, I don't want to say whenever it updates, but the update did add a lot more bugs, so we have to play around it. Just, you know, luckily it's still not, it lost what I feel like what was good about this this sim was the manualness about it, which I'll go over when it matters. But yeah, so they play out this Asuna, I believe that's the name of this card, to the front line, and its effect is when played, you may add 1 life or 1 card from your life to your hand. If you do, it gains 2000 BP, and it cannot be targeted by characters, effects, triggers, and sights until the start of your next turn. So I actually don't have a way to remove this like I had hoped. So instead, I make a pivot. I think I pivoted wrong here. I still want to take a life, and so I push up 2 cards to the front line so that she can only block 1, and then I just go to rebuilding my energy line, setting up for next turn for even heavier removal if need be. I get double Mace Hughes out, which is huge. Now I have 4 energy generation almost with just 2 cards, so now my raid should be good for the rest of the game as long as there's 1 other card on this energy line with me, or with these Hughes. But what I made a mistake in is pushing up both of my Rizas. This was a bad idea because now these are both susceptible to removal, and that can come from a trigger, or if they had it in hand on their turn, they can remove both of my Rizas, the only Rizas I have, and thus locking me out of this raid. What I should have done is pushed up 1 Riza and this Roy, and then being able to play out this one to the energy line like I did, and raiding over him in the next turn, or playing out this one to the energy line, just wasting his effect, but still having a better target to raid over, because this is just a good card on itself. I really don't want to raid over him. This has just a 1-turn effect. But yeah, just protecting both, or at least 1 of my raid targets that I have in hand would have been smarter here. But we attack in, and they get a final trigger, which isn't bad for me. And then yeah, the sim bug there didn't let me attack, which it didn't matter because I couldn't attack over their blocker anyways. So I just passed the turn here. And like I said, sorry for the choppiness of this gameplay. The next game will be better. So they play out this Xenon, and they have the effect to trash 1 from hand, and it gains snipe to cards that are 2500 or less, which is pretty good. Snipe means you can attack directly into characters, And yeah, so this is something I was talking about because these are both my only Rizas. I just took both the hits, deciding not to lose these bodies because they didn't remove it anyways. But now they have a full front line, but luckily I stalled my turn out, so now I can get into the heavy removal that this deck has access to. So I have 2 Flame Alchemists, so I decide to use one here, I believe. Yeah, I think I'm figuring out my turn here. So I use Flame Alchemist to KO this 4k BP, and then I raid in my Riza Hawkeye to subtract 1 from both of the. I also make a mistake here as well. I subtract 1 from this 3k, bringing her down to 2, and I subtract 1 here from this Nullify Impact. I wasn't reading this card. I should have subtracted 1 here. This is 2500. The idea behind subtracting 1 here was so that my Riza can attack in without any free blocks. But I was thinking more to get rid of this Nullify Impact rather than getting rid of this card, and that sets me up for a mistake. But I use her effect to look at top 4, place 1 at the top of my deck, and then place the rest at the bottom. So I place the next raid Roy to the top of my deck, setting up for next turn. And then I raid in the one I have in my hand to draw a card. Yeah, there we go. So I drew a card, and then I attack, highlighting that card. Because it's at 1k, I don't need to trash a card. The base effect starts at 1k, so there's no need for me to trash a card here. He'll just sideline her, and then I deal the damage. They get an active trigger, I believe. Yeah, they get an active trigger, and then I attack in once more. They block with their active trigger card. I attack in once more. And they go down to 2 life. Now here is the mistake. When they're down to 2 life, this character gains 500 BP. So if I had subtracted 1k from her instead, she would not have been able to free block here. She would have been forced to lose this body or go down to 1 life, which is very unfortunate because he can gain impact if my hand is empty. They do get the free block though, because of my little misplay. And they actually have a pretty decent turn, coming off of the pressure that I put on, sidelining my raid Mustang. I think it is if you are at 3 or less life, you sideline the character. If not, you rest it. And then they raid in this Asuna to rest. Oh right, rest this Roy Mustang, which yeah, her second effect is, I believe, if it's one whatchamacallit, 1 or less. 1 or less energy required, you can swap it to the energy line and it cannot be swapped back. But this is a 4k or 4 energy cost, so she can only rest it. And then they raid in this Sign-On, and this also has, during your turn, this character gains all these abilities, and then depending on whatever life you have, that gains. So they only have 2 life left, so it gains impact, 500 BP, and snipe, when played against snipe, that is. So they get to snipe out any card on my front line with impact. And so they snipe out my Roy Mustang here, which is, it is correct. I think the idea behind it is they want to force me to play out a new Roy Mustang to raid in the next one. Or if I got a raid on the trigger, they wouldn't want me to be able to raid them in. And on the clapback, they're much less worried about this 2K Riza Hawkeye. But there also is an argument to snipe out this Riza because it has impact, and you'll be getting rid of my BP reduction, which this deck sort of needs, especially with my hand size currently. So, I mean, there's an argument for both here, but they decide to snipe out the Roy, which will sideline it, and then yeah, it gets bugged here. You see me trying to click this no blocker thing, so we just pass the turn to me, and then oh yeah, I have to block it to fix the bug, and then yeah, block it just to fix the bug. I wasn't actually blocking here, so I play this back to the front line, and then the life that they went after was an active trigger, so I sideline it, give that to this Riza, and thus they cannot attack in anymore because I'll just block out both of these for free. So then it's my turn, and yeah, I'm just letting them know some updates are always buggy, but what are you gonna do? It's not a bad sim. I appreciate them for making the sim. So I play out this Roy Mustang to subtract 1k from this Asuna, the 3k Asuna, and then I use my Riza's effect to -1 to this Synon. The Synon is also a 3500 BP, so she's now at 2500, and this is now at 2k, and now I can raid in my Mustang to attack or draw a card, and then when I attack, I can attack for or I can sideline all the cards in my hand, which will give him impact, and also KO this Synon. Well, I should have attacked, or I should have trashed all the cards in my hand. I don't know what I'm doing here. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing here. I should have gave him impact. And yeah, it bugged again, so pass the turnover and then just do it again. They got no trigger there, and then I attack it again, and they're forced to block, and then I attack in for the last attack, and then that's GG's. So end up winning this one. GG's to my opponent. But let's go to the next and final game. So I decided to go second. Oh yeah, so there it is. There it is. This is got some frames back. So we go up against a JJK deck. This opponent, we were playing a game and they accidentally clicked concede, so we just rematched. And I say all good here, but it wasn't all good because the last hand that I had was much better than this one. But it's still all good. We don't worry about it. But yeah, they said they were playing on their phone, which is cool. I didn't know that this sim worked on the phone. Maybe it came with this newest update, but yeah, they're playing a red JJK deck. They get the Norbar out and then 2 draw 1 trash ones. I get my Alex out and a Roy Mustang to beef up my energy line. This was a pretty rough start. I got lucky with this Roy Mustang top deck, so I can play out this Maze Hughes. Now my energy should be good for the rest of the game. But I have my removal pieces in hand. I'm just waiting for them to push up something, and they do. They raid in this Norbara. And this does something to... Right, so this card, when played, you subtract 3k from an opponent's front line, and then there's an activate main to do something else. I didn't read it in time. But I'm looking, trying to plan out my play. So I decide to move up this Armstrong, play this to the energy line to -1k to their Norbara. And oh, right, I was gonna say I'm saving these Rizas. I don't have a Riza to play here, unfortunately. So yeah, and then yeah, this is when I draw the Gene, and I am debating on playing him to the front line as a blocker. but I think my AP is just better off spent playing out this Maze Hughes to the energy line instead of doing this jungle gym of playing him out, blocking with him, and then playing this to the energy line on their turn. I mean, it's cool. It's cool that it works that way, but it's not really that worth it, especially at this point. So I just play the Maze to the energy line, and then attack. Yeah, I just sideline it. I sideline one of my Reza raids as well, so I can keep the other removal event in hand. Even though it feels sort of bad to sideline a raid, but I have no Rezas anyway, so it's fine. And I have another one in hand, so it's fine. It's better to keep their front line cleared. That's what this deck is strong suited in. Because of things like this, now they're forced to push up their Megumi, which it doesn't, ruin them, but it does force them to lose some energy generation. Now they're back down to 3 because they raided out this Yuji Itadori. This card is cool. When attacking, you get to choose 2 to give it impact, or give it -2 and set it up as active so you can swing for 2k twice. And so it's just a pretty cool early game double attacker with options. So I really can't wait to try out this JJK stuff, which will probably be in the next video. But that's not a promise. That's not a promise. So they attack in with their Megami, but my Armstrong is a 2k. So I just get a free block, and I actually just don't really have that much of a play now. So I decide to push up this Maze Hughes, excuse me, to use him as an early attacker. Playing this to the energy line, and I'm rereading his effects here. This, I actually make a mistake. I should have AP drawn here. I just didn't plan out my turn properly, which is fine. So I attack in with the Maze Hughes. They take it. Oh, and then it bugs again here, so it takes a minute for us to catch up. So it bugs again, so I'm just gonna fast forward a little bit, and then yeah, and then it resets for him. So for him, he was seeing something different from me. So I'm just doing my turn on his turn, so I have to do it this way, and then just highlighting everything, and he just takes every single hit to keep his front line, which I mean is smart because he really doesn't have an energy line to push to the front line. He gets a Gojo into his hand, so things are scary. Things are currently scary. Plays another Itadori to the board, and then plays a Gojo to the front line. Luckily, he doesn't come in active, but he does have another raid Itadori, which he decides to have his BP and attack twice with him. So I take the first, I think I take both damage. Oh no, so I block one of them. Oh right, because these are 3Ks. I could have blocked both, now that I think about it, but I think I wanted a card in hand so I can, or I was looking for a raid card in hand so I can push for game here. So I play this event to sideline their Gojo, and then I get to play this Reza to the energy line, making sure that I'm using both my effects. I just bottom deck both of these, and then raid in this Reza to the front line, -2k to him, and yeah, now it's pretty much GG. I have 4 attackers, they only have 2 blockers, so I decide to place the Elric to the top of my deck, and just in case they do survive this turn. So on my next turn, I can just play him to the front line, set him as active by taking a life, and then give him impacts and go for game from there. But yeah, it bugs again here, so he can't block. So I have to pass turn once more, and I think what did he do? Wait, what happened here? Oh, right, he decided not to block. So he takes the hit. It's a raid UG. It didn't load for me to read what it does. So now I'm attacking in with this Mace Use. Set its resting, and then I'm attacking in with my Armstrong, and then that's GG's because that's a raid trigger. So yeah, that's GG's for my opponent here. So let's look at this deck one last time. So as you guys can see, it's even with this jam of a deck. This deck is really strong. I really wish that this game had more options for removal protections. I think that's been like my takeaway from most of these games is a lot of these decks just die to removal because there's rarely any removal protection. And so if you have a high removal deck like this one or the Kimberly deck, it does two things. It gets rid of blockers, so you're getting rid of, or you're making it harder for them to block out and lose their front line while also taking life cards. But it also, in the right situations, messes with your opponent's energy line as well. So it forces them to move cards maybe that they don't want to move, just to have a blocker on board. But with a deck like this, that's the removal is every time this Roy Mustang attacks, it really forces the opponent to have removal of their own to get rid of this Roy Mustang. But that's you know, I'm not a game designer. I assume it's for game balance as to why there's different, or game balance and variety for different forms of removal in this game. But yeah, if I were to make changes, like I said, I would drop these jeans. I would go maybe up one of these maybe. Let's see if I just put two in there. So I don't think I want anything else in here. Or actually, I'll probably go up one of each of these. If I were, yeah, and if I got some more testing with this and I didn't like it, I'll probably drop these as well, just for the consistency of the deck, and probably go up one of these, actually no, one of these, just for deck consistency and ensuring that I draw the pieces that I need. This will probably be my deck list. But like I said, I do still want to test out how well this Armstrong is in this Mustang deck, because I know he's strong in the Olivier deck. But yeah, so that's going to be the video for today. I appreciate you guys for watching. If you guys made it this far, you might as well leave a like because you obviously liked the video. And if you want to see more Union Arena and hopefully Riftbound coming soon, hopefully, that's not a promise. It's not a promise, like I said before. It's not a promise, but I'm trying to figure out a way to record some Riftbound games, because that is something that I want to get into and show you guys. But thank you all so much for watching. I will see you all on the next one.